today, so I'm going to try to rush through this a little bit quicker so you guys can check out some stuff from the video. But before we begin, Nikki has some information to put out.
So we're trying to get some more things organized to do things as friends and family, whether you like it or not. We have to spend time together. Who would be like that? So we're going to try to get a Twins game organized. We looked at the end of September when things maybe will start slowing down, but probably not. So we're looking at a game on Saturday, September 29th. It's a 6:10 game. It's against the Chicago White Sox. And we will do a coach bus that we'll pick up here at the Rochester office. This is open to yourself, spouses, friends, kids. Everybody's welcome. We would like to get at least 25 people to go, because then that'll keep the cost at a good level, I guess. If we can get 25 people to go, it's $50 a person, and that includes your transportation, your ticket. The tickets are in the field box, which is either between, it'll be third base to left field or first base to right field. Pretty down close to the field. They look like a good volleyball area, so kids should be happy and bring their gloves. So yeah, we're looking $50 a person. If you can let me know if you're interested as soon as you can, so we can get tickets ordered. If we can order them as a group ticket, it eliminates all the extra fees. And we also get, our group will get up on the big screen and we'll get promoted as Keller Williams Premier Rochester. And rumor has it that our affiliate, Partners Title, may be able to work something out and provide some beverages and snacks for the bus ride. And you can bring coolers, whatever, on the bus as well. They said that it'd be the same bus that'll bring us back home. So you can bring coolers in the bus, snacks, fun games. They'll pick up here 3 o'clock, bring us back here at the end of the game. So, what day of the week is that? It's a Saturday. Okay. So we thought, you know, I know that there's some other things going on. There's fall showcase of homes. Is that what it is? Yeah. So, I mean, you can still do something even till 1, 2 o'clock. Be here for the bus at 3. There is an option as well. If you wanted to drive on your own, we can figure out something for ticket only cost if you didn't want to do the bus. But it'll be a coach bus. I think it can hold up to 47 people. Be over there.
Come on.
No.
So yeah. So just let me know if anybody wants to go. And like I said, it's gonna be family friendly. So
you have a sign up sheet up there?
I don't, but you can just let me know, or I can create a sign up sheet too. That would be whatever works. Or tell me in passing. I think you've already.
I already got it.
Yeah, you're going. So
I'm going.
You're going.
Oh, it's like nobody else is.
I know. I think I should.
I just have free cancellations emailed to you.
Well, thank you for putting that together.
Welcome.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks.
This should be a very, very fun event. It'll be a great time. I mean, heck, you get bussed up there. You can do Lord knows what on the bus up. Keep it classy. I think there might be some kids going, and then you can be driven home. So catch a nap or something on the way back. Whatever you want to do. But if you can let us know if you plan to come sooner rather than later, that would be helpful for planning purposes. All right, just a quick, I'm going to highlight some things on the calendar as we get close to the end of the month of July. I can't believe I just said that out loud. July is almost done. It's nuts. The weather's beautiful. It's only going to start getting closer and closer to you-know-what as we move forward. So let's just try not to think about that for now. Reminder, after this team meeting, there is a lunch and learn with AMIC from 12 to 1 in here. And then after that, from 1 to 2, will be the ALC meeting. Tomorrow from 10:30 to 11. 10:30 to 11:30, there's going to be a class on understanding paperwork, policies, procedures, timelines, all that fun stuff that you might be dealing with right now. It's very timely for the conversation we had this morning. And then on the 26th, Nikki's going to be talking about the introduction to North Star MLS again. There's a meeting that takes place Wednesday afternoon. The association's putting out some more information about North Star MLS, how it's going to be implemented, timeline, all that fun stuff. So it's still getting shaken out at their level, but we want to start introducing you guys to that tool so you're familiar with it by the time it gets kind of rolled out for everybody to utilize. It's a great tool. I think it's going to do wonders for you, and it'll allow you to see, what we think is it'll allow you to see information and listings in the Twin Cities and then vice versa. So you'll be much more connected to real estate in general in the state, which will be a good thing. Group coaching on Friday from 9:30 to 10:30, and then on the 30th is the International Day of Friendship. So we're celebrating with the potluck. So if you're around on that day from 11 to 1, stop on by for some free food. And then As we look to next week, we do get into August. So next Thursday, there's going to be a tech workshop from 11 to 12:30 here, and then group coaching again next Friday as well. Any questions about this week and next week? Yes,
I
ma'am.
have a question about the paperwork for tomorrow.
Yes.
Are you planning on going over new forms, or is that different?
They will not be talking about the new forms that are getting ready to come out in, is it late August? Or yeah, so there's going to be some form changes coming down the pipeline. I've reviewed them. Jim, I'm sure you took a peek at what's coming down the pipeline. I didn't see anything that was drastically significant. One thing that did catch my attention is I think now when you take listings, you're going to have to disclose what your buyer comp payout is going to be in the listing agreement, which will be interesting. But other than that, there's nothing that's coming to mind as a drastic change. As we get closer to those forms being released, we'll obviously go over those and kind of give you guys a heads up of what we think are some of the bigger items that should concern you. Great question. And if I forget to do that, please remind me and let me know. Okay, any other questions? All right, what I want to do is, so I watched this video last week with Gary. He was at the Inman conference, and he did a very, very good job laying out what he thinks is in store for the future of the industry. And I was asking myself, okay, how can I take what Gary said, synthesize it, and then share it with everybody at today's team meeting? And then I thought to myself, Zach, did you literally just say you want to try to interpret what Gary Keller said for everybody? I mean, come on. So there's no better thing than to listen to it from the horse's mouth. We're going to listen to Gary talk about the industry, and more importantly, how he thinks technology is impacting the industry and your individual businesses. So I wouldn't normally play a video, but I have to tell you, this is a great one. I've already watched it 2 or 3 times. It's that good. So take out some nuggets of knowledge. We'll download afterward about it, and then we'll talk a little bit more about the app and things like that. As you're watching this video, if you have not already downloaded the app called Kelly, K-E-L-L-E, please take, Renee's like, nope, I haven't yet. Please take a minute to download it and mess with it on your phone, get it downloaded while this video is playing, so that by the time it's done, I can show you some features of the app. If you have the app already and you haven't updated it recently, go to your store, your app store, whatever, and update it, because there are some awesome new features they just literally rolled out, and I'll show you some of those too after this video. So download it if you don't have it, update it if you do have it, and then we'll watch this and we'll talk about it afterward.
What's the name again?
It's called Kelly, K-E-L-L-E, not to be confused with Katie. She is like an app, trust me. And just for a little bit of a frame of reference, so Brad Inman, that's the gentleman on the left who's bald. He runs basically probably the biggest sort of real estate news company. I don't know what you'd call it. They pump out a lot of news regarding our industry. And that's why he's sitting down with Gary at this conference. Come on in. Hey, Becca, how are you? Come on in. Just get ready to watch a video.
Staff, does it say Keller Williams Realty International?
It probably does.
Okay.
It's K-E-L-L-E in white letters, and the background is like a turquoise or aqua.
This is actually pretty funny.
Well, but what's one thing? Is it true you're going to put realtor on your gravestone?
Yes.
Wow, that's pretty. That's
Well, someone asked me something once, I mean, perfect.
It'll be better just
Professionally, right? What I wanted to my legacy, and I said I want to die being a realtor. I wanted to say on my headstone I was a realtor. I have a degree in real estate, right? Got out of college in the late 70s. Was one of the first people to have a degree in it. Was a broker at 21, and I've never gotten out.
Right? You live and believe. You love real estate, right?
Yeah, I sold 6 houses my first month in the city. I'd only been in once. By the time I was 26, I was a vice president of a real estate company in my market. No, I love this business.
Yeah.
It's a great business.
And let's now jump into layout. I think my question to you in this one is lay out where you think it's going, because we got like competing theories on the future that we're going to really bear down on the next couple of days. And I think yours is important. And we got a couple of magic markers. We got an eraser. Awesome. And we got a film crew that's going to zoom in on it so that
They do this so you can see it.
and we're going to put a clock on you, gang in the back of 10 minutes.
15.
10. 10. Okay.
These guys get heated there.
But you're going to talk for 45.
Yeah, it
It's
does.
10 on this part.
Yeah, so you asked, so the question you asked me was, where's the industry go?
Yeah, exactly.
And so I thought about that, and I kind of want to diagram it, and then we can talk through that.
Good.
So if you think about any business out there, right? There's three paths it can go. It can go this way, it can go this way, and it can go that way, right? So there's three phases to building a business in any industry. There's this phase, and then there's one of those three.
And is that an individual business or the industry?
This is a business inside of an industry.
Okay, gotcha.
So what happens is you have this period of what I would say trial and error.
Yeah.
So businesses start, business go out of business, go into business. They try all kind of things. At some point, the people that have made it get to this point. And at that moment in history, and it shows up for every business, this is where the innovation, the real innovation occurs.
Where is Compass and EXT? Are they in that first big circle?
Well,
I don't mean to throw
no,
it.
you didn't at all. By the way, no one's in the circle yet.
No one's in this.
So I just had to think about that for a
I'm
second.
not in the circle? Damn.
But you could be in the circle. Brand right there.
Yeah. Hey!
No, by the way, no, I believe that every firm, whether they've been in business for a year, 5 years, 10 years, 100 years, I think all of us are right there.
Gotcha.
So when I talk about, and I've made a statement that in February, I got on stage and said that in the next year, you won't recognize the real estate industry. I wasn't kidding. And what's interesting is the amount of change that we're all feeling is real and palpable. Yeah, and it's happening. That's going to accelerate right there. So let me explain what I mean by
You're
this.
saying this stuff, we're just in the first inning. It's coming.
Nothing's happened yet.
Yeah, gotcha. Okay, go ahead.
Nothing's happened. I'm serious about that. Nothing's happened, but it's fixing to happen. Okay? It's fixing to happen. So let's just ask what causes that. Okay? So what causes that is we started out with in the world with hardware, right? Hardware was invented, and at some point you had software to run the hardware, right? One of the most interesting decisions in the world is that IBM, who created the hardware, decided not to own the software. And they gave one of the greatest deals of all time to Bill Gates and Paul Allen to own the software, right? So then all of a sudden, at some point, you're using your hardware, your phone, and you're using software, and you get this offer to buy a data plan because you were out of space.
Right.
So someone came up with the idea of how about if, and they call it the cloud, how about if we just string computers together and we put all your data there so you can access it from any technology hardware that you want to use, right? Yeah. Okay. Well, here's the interesting thing about that. That's a commodity. For about $1,000 or less, I can buy a piece of hardware, I can buy a piece of software or multiple softwares, and I can buy a data service, and I'm in business, right? Yes. Okay. That's a commodity. What's changing the world today, and it's called the Fourth Industrial Revolution. And that is,
Do you want to put teacher or professor up in there, one word?
is data powered by artificial intelligence. That's it. So everything that we have, anything that's been invented by any of us prior to what's coming, has all been, the industry's all been about this, the latest gadget, the latest idea, the latest thing. Cool, that's great. That's what that is, by the way. But this right here, big data that is being powered by artificial intelligence, that, and by the way, it doesn't matter what industry you're in. It doesn't matter if you're in real estate. This applies to all industries. By the way, the medical profession, the legal profession, the architecture profession, any profession you want to name is at this moment. And the reason is because, you have two worlds that we live in. The first one is the physical world, and the second one is the digital world. And what happens is everybody who's physically based on their businesses, they wake up, and the fatal question they say is, what's the least I have to do in the digital world to protect what I currently have physically? Challenge is that the people who are in the digital space wake up every morning, they say, what's the least I have to do physically to kick your physical butt?
Yeah.
Right? Okay. So this is the battle. The battle is over big data, powered by artificial intelligence. So let's look at the real estate industry.
You should sign that, Gary, because some people
Yeah, whatever.
I'm a capitalist.
Okay, so let's look at the real estate industry real quick and why we feel this change going on, Brad. Industry starts out as real estate agent. At some point, we have the tech enabled real estate agent. Okay? MLS being a good example of that. Technology enabling the real estate agent. Does that make sense?
Well, where does the MLS come in?
It's the technology that enables agents to do their jobs.
The MLS.
MLS is an example of where technology showed up to enable the agent. Okay? And then the next thing is all of a sudden we have this thing and it's called the agent enabled tech. Got it?
What's that?
Well, okay. And then by the way, the fourth would be the prediction that someday you just have tech. Well, the interesting thing is that will never happen and that ship has sailed.
Right.
So you can literally take our industry and put it in a box like this and say, you're going to be one of two people. You're either going to be an agent who is enabled by tech, or you're going to be the agent that is enabling the tech.
Right.
Now, here's this interesting. So now let's talk about.
Let me just bring it down a little bit. Tell me exactly what that means.
I'm going to
shift.
Well, the agent is the fiduciary here,
Right.
and the tech is the fiduciary there. So this is a battle over who's going to be the fiduciary.
So that might be.
Who's the rock star in the experience?
So it might be smart contracts, all the tech taking care of that stuff that
we'll
needs to be the fiduciary.
We'll get there in just a second. That's right. So let's now list these. So
Running out of time, that's what I'm worried
No, you're not.
Yeah.
No. No, we're not.
I love this guy. If you saw our email banners, you would just.
No, we're not, because when you invited me, you said I could do what I wanted.
No, you're doing it.
Okay, good.
Jay, I love that.
You did. I have the email. Okay. We'll post it. Yeah, I love you. You're awesome. All right. So by the way, Realtor.com started that whole mess, okay? And then we have Zillow, you have Trulia. We can throw Redfin into that. We can throw Purple Bricks into that. We can throw Open Door into that. We can throw OfferPad into that. Pretty much all the people that Inman News worships. No, I love Brad, and I mean, he knows I love him. But
Because they're really smart people, Gary.
well, okay, and they're not okay, whatever.
But you're losing. You're losing me on this.
Okay, hang on a second.
Agent-enabled tech. You're saying all of these players on the right have agents.
Well, they're agent enabling tech.
They're all tech-driven companies, correct?
I will tell you that every one of these companies have agents because they have to, not because they want to. These are not agent-centric businesses. If they could do it without, if Glenn Kelman could run Redfin without agents, he'd do it in a heartbeat. If he tells you otherwise, he's lying. Okay?
Well, he'll be here in an hour to defend.
Well, I'll be happy to stay. But I'm just telling you that he's in that category. Okay? Absolutely. Yeah. Love it. And he loves that category. But that's who he is. Okay? You with me? So the reason why you and I get off to rocky starts at times is because, because I'm over here.
You're over there.
I'm over here.
Right.
Yeah, I work for the real estate agent. I have my whole life. I'll go to my grave on my gravestone saying that. Yep, yeah. So, well, I'm not going to get there too soon. So let's.
Yeah.
Right. So if you look over here, when Inman, and I love what you do, by the way. I wouldn't have come here if I didn't appreciate you. I really wouldn't. If I didn't just say, kiss my ass, I'm not coming.
Yeah.
And I didn't say that.
Yeah, no, you did.
No, I didn't. But
it took a while to persuade you.
Well, it did, because people that work with me are more important than people that don't.
Yeah.
I mean, I get paid to help certain people. And
well, we're grateful you're here, and I want you to sit down with me so I can chat you up.
Hang on. So here's where the challenge comes in, and that is when, and I'm not picking on you, by the way, but because I read pretty much everything that's written through your news service, so I want to respect that. The reason why you and I get crosswise at times is because you represent these guys as the disruptors. Over here, the articles are already 3 ways to have a better open house. Or what, these are gonna kick your ass and change the world. 5 ways to list FISBOs. Right? This, go back and check, you'll see it. That this absolutely treats these individuals as if they're not disruptors, as if they work for this group. Now here's another interesting fact about this group. Let's put every one of these groups, I can put the aggregators over here, and they want to reduce the agent's income by at least 30% or more, right? So if they want to do what? Reduce their income. So the real estate agent, if they do business with these guys, they're going to operate at about a 2% approximate commission.
But if
they were charging 3,
if they deliver volume of transactions,
well,
they
be
make
careful
up for the difference.
You need to be careful with that because you're talking to the guy who wrote the book on it.
Yeah, but you got 100,000 agents.
No. I'm going to give you a number here, 10%. If you're spending more than 10 of your gross income for leads.
Yeah.
I wrote a book, right? Yeah. Okay. There isn't anyone that understands
How many
this.
in the audience think Gary's book applies as much today as it did when he wrote it? Say yes. And how many think it doesn't apply quite as much as he did when he wrote it? Let's just see.
Here's the interesting thing about that. So we sit
That's
down.
for Dr. Slido. Did you get that, Dr. Slido?
Okay, so we sat down a year ago to write the MREA updated version, right?
Right.
Here's what we found out. Everything that's in that book is 100% accurate today, except for the actual numbers.
Well, we want to ask the audience if they agree. Well, Dr. Slido, are you on this? How many think Gary's book is as relevant today as it was when he wrote it, and how many think it is not?
One caveat: you have to put your income down by your answer.
Okay, well,
because I will tell you that anybody who would say that it's not relevant today are your least earning people.
my audience has a higher income than your community, Gary, because they paid a lot to come here. But anyway.
Okay. So here's my point to you. My point is that I am absolutely the leading expert.
We're going to be friends when this is all over.
Oh, of course. I like your shoes.
Hey, Dr. Slido, how we doing?
Okay,
Dr. Slido.
Okay, time out. Now you're taking my time by asking some guys to
Well,
stop
it's a
that.
conversation, Gary.
Okay. So here's the thing. That's the cost for a lead. If you're spending more than that, you better have good justification. You with me?
Yeah.
Now that's just what the research says. And I spend all my time. This is what I do, by the way. Now, you get into this group, these guys want that commission to be 1 to 2% as well, correct? Redfin?
Redfin, okay.
Yeah. Purple Bricks wants it to be maybe 1% to 1.5% max. Open Door will pay you 1%. OfferPad will pay you 1%. This is why you feel the way you feel about change, is because all of that group wants tech to be the rock star and wants the agent to be the functionary.
Let me just ask you one question, Gary.
And it doesn't have to be like that.
You spread this thing, which I think the industry's been good at, which is fear, which is they wake up every morning maliciously trying to go after the real estate industry.
Well,
and you meet with, you cut deals with Zillow, you cut deals with Realtor.com. I know for a fact you met with the disruptors. You'll cut a deal with anyone on their behalf. So if they were that malicious, why would you let them into your office, right? I mean, you have a deal with Zillow, correct?
Do I?
I presume you do.
I don't think I do.
You have no deal with Zillow.
What's my deal?
To protect the listings from having.
I know they bought that agreement with Dotloop. I didn't sign a deal with Zillow.
So you have no deal with Zillow?
No. Why would
you don't do business with any of these people?
Why would I do business? What do I do with Zillow?
Okay.
I don't have listings.
I've heard through the grapevine. Obviously, we don't publish it.
No, I have an agreement with Dotloop that they can't use our data.
Right.
Now, Zillow's come back to us and they're now asking that we give them their data.
I
just recently asked for that. And what was my answer?
Your agents are sitting across the table from Redfin. They're spending money on Zillow. These are smart people that are investing in things. They're not that stupid, are they? Here, you got to sit down. Come on, just sit down.
I'm going to do one more thing.
Okay, really quick. This is talk. Barry Diller did this to me. Barbara Perkins.
No.
They are people that can take the stage away from Brad.
No, I'm not trying to do that.
I'm very relaxed and comfortable.
So the last thing I'll say then is this, and that is, so that's the challenge.
Yeah.
So the real estate agent gets to vote with their feet. So by the way, this group, if this group doesn't own its tech, it's going to succumb to that group.
Gotcha.
That's my point.
Yeah, I got it.
Yeah, if you put someone between you and the customer, and you let technology get between you and the customer, here's an interesting number for you, $1 billion. That's the amount of money that we surveyed and we estimate that our own real estate agents spend on technology outside of Keller Williams. $1 billion, Brad.
But isn't
I don't get paid a fraction of that.
But historically, the industry's paid $12 to $15 billion for advertising, whether they gave it to the Chicago Tribune, or they gave it to billboards, or they gave it to bus signs, or whether they gave it to Zillow. That money, so billion, I mean, they're spending, they've always spent billions marketing, haven't they? Didn't you always spend money in marketing?
This is not marketing dollars.
Yeah.
These are operational dollars. I didn't
So,
say
I'm sorry, do it again, so I missed.
on software.
Oh, and software. They're spending $1 billion.
And the reason why the software vendors don't like me today is
Right.
I'm literally taking that spend to zero.
Yeah.
My goal is to reclaim $1 billion.
But aren't you gonna sell technology to your agent? Isn't that part of your business model?
$300 a year.
What? But that's $300 a year. Times 150.
Well, compared to Sync that would charge the same amount to an agent, anywhere from 18 to 100. I've got agents in the audience that spend $300,000 a year on technology alone.
Yeah.
By the way, in about 3 months, they'll be spending that much. $300.
Come sit down with me.
So last thing, so here's the issue. So when we talk about, that's the last thing, you're getting an education, it's good for you. Well, here's the thing is when I stood up and said that we were becoming a technology company, man, I took a beating from everybody. I thought I was a dumbass.
Yeah. Well, you said it, and no one knew exactly what you were building.
I didn't want them to know.
Yeah. But it was quite a declaration. I'm spending $1 billion in technology. You would automatically.
Okay, so if I let someone build my technology for me, what do I own?
Say it again.
If I let someone, let me ask you a question. Does Amazon own their software or do they buy it from Fidelity?
They own it.
Does Amazon own their software or do they buy it from pick a
I don't know.
company?
You tell me. I don't know.
You know the answer.
Well, I assume they.
Amazon owns their software. Facebook owns their software. Yes?
Yeah.
Netflix owns their software, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So why would we tell the real estate agent, don't own your software? Or don't let your company or partnership with, why would we tell them not to own it? That's a dumbass statement, man. That you're literally heading them to the slaughterhouse. Not you, because you don't say that. But I'm saying anyone who says that is literally leading the real estate agent by the nose.
Now would you sit down? I asked you as a gentleman.
I know you did, but I haven't finished.
Come on, Gary, sit down with me.
No. We have one more thing. So here's what changes the world. So there's a difference between software and platforms. Our industry doesn't really understand this, okay? And that is, if you want to build an innovation engine, Brad, in order to build a platform that you can innovate on top of technology, the first thing is you have to build a cloud service. Now, this isn't a cloud service like I was talking about. This is an industry-specific cloud service. How long does it take to build an industry-specific cloud service? About 2 to 3 years. That's what Google tells me. That's about how long it took us to do it. About 2 to 3 years. Okay. Second thing, by the way, you have to have, in order to make it significant, you have to have the data. So tomorrow morning, if EXP announced that they were going to build a cloud service, you'd say, well, that's good, but where's the data? You don't have any data. Okay, but if they had the data and they were going to build a cloud service, it would take them 3 years. If Compass today said, we don't have a cloud service, but we're going to do it, and they don't have one, by the way, but if they said they were going to do it, it's going to take them 2 to 3 years. You with me? Okay, here's the problem with that. The problem with that 2 to 3 year time frame is it's happening right now. If you don't already have it, you're in second place. Okay, now here's the other thing, and that is you have to have artificial intelligence. Why? So here's a good example. So let's just think about this for a second. Let's say that you have an agent software and you have real estate company software. So in the real estate company software, we have all the data on production of everybody in the business, right? So then we have the agent So tomorrow morning, the agent goes out and they take a listing. But because all the data on days on market, price to sell ratios, all that's down here, the second the agent takes the listing, artificial intelligence sends a ping to them and says, for a home in that price range in this neighborhood, you should use smart plan number 12 with these attributes. Would you like us to execute it? If the agent clicks yes, the whole plan is initiated in an instant over a 12-week period.
All right, let's throw out some questions to the audience. Can we use Dr. Slido?
That was his way of getting control.
No,
Yeah, it was.
that's great. No, I learned a lot, Gary.
Yeah,
Dr. Slido, whatever we need to do for you all to submit questions, and then we'll get some of those questions up. I think they'll pop up right here. We can answer whatever.
So here's the challenge.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to educate you.
Yeah, no, I
All of
need to be
this.
educated.
Well, the point is that everything that we're dealing with today around software is bolt-on technology.
Yeah.
I read the latest article you just wrote, you published yesterday, and it said, here's the 3 rules for technology.
Yeah. What did we say?
Well, number 1, you said it needs to talk to each other,
Yeah.
right? You
Is
have
that a good thing?
Well, how are you gonna, if you don't have that, it's not going to talk to each other. So when I read that article, I went, jeepers, you should have taken a poll by Dr. Slidell or whatever and asked him how much of whatever, how much of their technology is going to actually talk to each other. Brand, it doesn't talk. We have agents out there.
I talked to a consultant yesterday, and his whole business is to work with broker owners on integration.
No, just call me. Integration, if you do that,
exactly.
it's integrated.
I'm agreeing with you. Slow down. And the fact that we even need an industry to help integration shows that we have a problem. So what are we asking? Any questions from the audience? Oh, here we go. Will you own, here's a KW agent, will you own my data as a KW agent? In other words, will you own his data or?
Yeah, we'll own them with them.
With them?
Sure.
So this whole confusion about data ownership, you'll own it with them?
Well, someone's got to own it.
Yeah.
In other words, whoever owns that cloud service and that artificial intelligence is going to own that data. Now, here's a question I have for you for that person.
Yeah.
Someone's going to own it. Would you rather a real estate company that has a history of being the most agent-centric on the planet, right? Here's another number for you, $1 billion in profit sharing paid out. Now, I invite anyone in this room who's paid out $1 billion to their people in a profit share
Are
program.
you still doing that, by the way? Well, I mean, that's core to your program, right?
Yeah.
Profit share.
Yeah.
Yeah, and is that still driving your growth the same as it has?
I wouldn't think so.
Now, what is driving it now? Community,
Technology.
technology? They're coming to you for the technology.
Yeah, so here's another number for you, $6 billion, and that's the amount of productive volume that joined Keller Williams in the first 90 days of 2018.
Let me ask you this. You feel like this has been going for 22 years. We've been talking about robots for 5 years or 10 years. We've been talking about all the things you have up on that board. Why is it? Were you a little late to the game too?
No, there's a difference between late and too late.
Timely. You were timely.
Well, actually, I think we showed, no, I actually think we're the only one on time.
Yeah.
And I think you're going to see that in the next couple of months.
Now you told me backstage you're launching something later this year. Tell the crowd what that is.
But we don't launch things.
Okay.
So again, I'm going to get back to this point right here. The challenge that you have is if you haven't already built an innovation platform, you're 2 to 3 years late. And the battle is going to be over the consumer.
Yeah.
So one last thing. Just think about this. So if we think about the consumer, and we think about, by the way, if you want to be Netflix, number 1, you have to own your software. Number 2, you have to build an end-to-end consumer experience, right? That's personalized as you use it, right? If you go to your Netflix account, mine does not look like yours. If I go to my Amazon page, mine doesn't look like yours, right? Okay, so that's interesting to point that out because if you think about the consumer experiences, voyeurism to search to consideration to close to ownership, and we put those in buckets, you realize that voyeurism in search is the only thing that actually is out there today for the consumer.
I would agree with that.
Yeah, we don't have online transaction yet, but we will by the end of the year. And oh, by the way, we don't have ownership, which we'll have that. So imagine an app, just as an example, just imagine an app for the consumer that in real time, the second they use it, it begins using artificial intelligence to, just like Netflix or anything else, to personalize the experience in real time.
Yeah.
Imagine that it says, at a closing table, you say, Brad, now that you've bought a home, would you like to refinance if you save money? Yes. Okay. So I'm just going to click yes, and you don't have to do anything. By the way, if rates change and you can save money, you're going to get an alert, and it's going to say, would you like to refinance? Now, because we own a mortgage company and we don't charge origination fees or closing costs, the mortgage industry hates me. Too bad. Okay. We don't charge any of that. We don't charge you any of that. It's free. Just click it and we'll refinance your home. And that's what's coming.
At what point?
And by the way, that's the battle.
Before you go,
The battle is not over search.
Yeah.
That's going to be a commodity.
We've got a question. At what point do you care about the consumer experience versus the agent experience? Or do you
Well,
leave that to the agent?
Well, no, I care about the agent. I care about the agent's consumer experience.
And do you feel like your technology is enabling the agent to create a better consumer experience, or do you actually?
Yeah, that's the whole point.
Are you ever going to go direct to the?
Well, here's the thing about it. No, why would I do that? No, I don't have buyers or sellers. No, if you think about it this way, think about it this way. The consumer is the agents. But if the whole world is moving towards the phone being the remote control of their life, right? Then the agent's going to have that tool. If the agent doesn't have that tool to offer an end-to-end consumer experience, how are they going to serve it?
You're obsessed by the agent getting the tools to serve the consumer. That's really your vision.
Well, let me ask you a question. How long after you wake up in the morning do you go to your phone?
Really quick. I wish I did.
No, we all do.
Yeah.
No, we all do. So it's the remote control.
That is sick. Let me ask you a question.
Yeah, but where we are.
Does EXP scare you? Does anyone scare you?
No.
Yeah.
No, because no, they don't.
That was the wrong way to phrase the question.
No, think about this. When I started Keller Williams, I built an innovation engine. So here's a good example. You bring up a great example.
By the way, Glenn speaks so highly of you.
Love it. Great. Good for him. I appreciate it. And I don't care, right? So think about it this way. When we created the profit share program, this is where everyone missed. We created a leadership council. We assigned the decision making of the firm to that council. So we profit share today. If our agents want to change that to something else, they can. Right. They can vote and change it. Here's an interesting tidbit of information.
So they come together on a regular basis.
When we first started sharing money, we didn't profit share. We actually shared the money off the top. You sell a house, we wrote a check. That has problems. And
that formula.
3 years into doing that, it started showing real problems. And so we ultimately voted and changed it to profit share.
So you're saying that's what EXP does now, and they're gonna run into problems.
What I'm saying is same with Exit, same with all the other copycats. That at the end of the day, they think they've reinvented something that's broken. But here's the interesting thing.
Remember, that's flattery when people copy.
Listen, I have no problem with that. And when people disagree with me, it just means that I'm ahead.
Yeah.
I don't worry about that. I honestly don't worry about that.
What about that agent count EXP? You guys have got to be sitting there wringing your hands a little.
Why are we talking about them?
Well, they're just part of the scene, and we got a question from the audience.
Not really. Well, not really. I mean, at the end of the no. We're captains
I
of
don't
our
want
own.
to obsess on it. Let's move on. But let me ask you this: leadership. You are known as a leader in the industry. Think about it in your 30 years, has the role of the leader changed? Like, how's leadership changed from say 30 years exactly?
Well, I think the industry's changed, and that is that today you can say the before technology and the after technology era. Prior to technology becoming an absolute imperative for our industry, training, coaching, consulting, right? That was the value proposition that we provide to real estate agents.
And that's how you make your money, right?
Well, we became the #1 training company in the world. We built the #1 coaching company inside the real estate industry. Dude, we did that. Here's the problem is that used to be 100% of the conversation. And we woke up about 3 years ago and went, we're not going to stop doing that. That's no longer what will protect our people. Technology, and only that technology, and putting technology that works in their hands is the only thing that we're focused on.
But that doesn't mean the agents still need it, but you'll be giving it to them in a different way. Like I presume your training is going more AI and technology, and not one-on-one, correct?
Yeah, that's right. That's exactly right.
Let me go back to Clea's theory. She said, she compared it to Wall Street, and she said the digital transaction for part of the deals.
By the way, one comment, and we won't talk about this again about EXP.
No, that's all right.
What I found fascinating.
Remember, I didn't bring it back there.
No, they did, but that's okay. No, I just want to point out one thing, and that is, I went back and looked, and there's a group of leaders there that used to be with Keller Williams. I went back and looked, and we paid those leaders over $1 million last year. So I was wondering publicly, since they think we're broken, if they would just renounce that money.
There you go. By the way, in fairness, Glenn will be on this stage to explain his business model. Let's go back to Clea, because I'm curious, and I got this, a different vision, a different way of looking at it. But she says a digital transaction for part of the deals, meaning much like E-Trade. The middle will be Charles Schwab, people and agents, but an agent with a different role. And the third will be more relationship driven. She's kind of saying 5 years out, you can put Redfin, you can put Purple Bricks in the middle, you can put, at the low end, we don't have it, maybe instant offer. Does that sound bullshit? Is that gonna happen?
Sure it is. I want you to understand
I
something.
kind of like when you're up there now. It took me a while to get comfortable with it. As you can all tell.
Here's the point I'm trying to make. That right there, the ability to innovate in real time, that changes everything.
Yeah.
The ability to build a platform that talks to each other, where everything is integrated is everything. The problem in our industry today is none of the companies that you would put on that side over there, and we can go from Realogy. I mean, when Berkshire Hathaway calls us up and wants to rent our cloud service,
That's Realogy for that. How do you go ahead.
Yeah, Realogy. Yeah, whatever. I called you Bob once.
Yeah, I know. You called me a lot of things in March. I was in Australia, so I didn't hear it. But
That was good.
people were back, texting me like crazy. I said, "Oh, don't worry."
You know why I do that is because a lot of the articles you produce are one-sided. They don't tell the other story, right? Yeah, I got pissed because you put my name in an article in the header and no one asked me for my opinion.
Well, that's because we get a lot of readers.
Okay. There's always two sides to the story.
Yeah.
And if you're not going to give me equal time in the article, then I have no choice but to stand up and attack that.
Right.
You leave me no choice. If you'll call me every time you mention me and let me talk, then I'll be nicer.
Well, people love to read about you, and we try to cover you as fairly as we can. Our journalists wake every morning trying to do that.
They do a great job.
We make mistakes. Let me go back to leadership. How is running a real estate company today different than it was back then?
It's all about technology.
Yeah, because you've always been kind of facilitator, educator, which is the new management style, more collaborator. Is that true with your?
I've always been a collaborator.
Yeah. And with your best agents, I always love the fact, and again, Kenny's, Sue Adler's, these people I admire, are part of your brain trust, and they seem to me to be real good people. They're great people, by the way.
And I spent probably 20 to 30 hours a week working with our top people. That's what I do for a living. That's why I know.
So I'll make a confession. I was out of the industry for many years in other industries doing things. I came back, and the first thing I had heard was Keller Williams is on fire. And I had the impression that a lot of people that Cole, Texas, Christian, all these tag words for Gary Keller and Keller Williams, and I was inherently suspicious as a journalist. And I went down and I wanted to understand the phenomenon. And the one thing that really struck me when you invited me to that big family was the community you created. And it's something we're very proud of. And we have a lot of overlap. There are people here that love you, and hopefully some folks from your community that respect us. And I think we've all learned that building community and real estate is very powerful. So we don't agree on everything, but I congratulate you on that.
Well,
and I also truly believe that you see the future better than a lot of us. And I really appreciate it.
Well, thank you.
And really,
What do you want to know?
my last.
What are you dying to know?
Well,
What do you want to know?
tell these people one thing that's going to help them. We're saying this. You just said it. Changes upon us. What do they need to do?
When I wrote the book, The Millionaire Real Estate, and I said it very crystal clear, and that is your database is your business. Your personal relationship with your database is your frontline defense, offense and defense against anything else that can happen. That's it. Lead generate, touch your people, right? Build relationship with your database. And business hasn't changed.
So the principles are the same, but the difference now is the database. But that was always the case, I guess, right?
Yeah.
Just keep in touch with your customer.
Yeah.
You said that over.
Well, the truth of the matter is that the entire real estate experience is going to come online. That's all there is to it. Why did Zillow want our data that they can't use and they have to be audited twice a year to not use it? Is because they want to make their ABM better. Now, is that good for us? Yes or no? Okay then. Okay then. The answer is no. It's not. It actually isn't good for us as an industry.
Thank you for coming all the way up. You're the best.
You're right. Thank you.
We stand up and applaud.
Yeah, it's good stuff. So thank you for bearing through that entire video with me. One of the reasons I wanted to play it all the way to the end is because, you know, they spend a lot of time talking about technology, all the stuff that's changing, what's going on in the industry, this, that, and the other. And at the very end, Gary closed it with probably, I think, which is the most important comment when Brad said, "What's the one thing you want to leave people with?" And what did he say? Database. He brought it right back to database. They spent, you know, almost 45 minutes talking about technology, apps, all this crazy stuff. At the very end, it was a very clear reminder that, hey, even you take all this craziness and put it to the side, and it comes back to the one fundamental foundational aspect of your business, which is your database. That's the one and only thing you can never sacrifice, giving your undivided attention and continuing to build. All this other stuff, the technology that they're building, they're bringing to place, is going to help you interact with your database in a more relevant, valuable way, but it's not going to replace your database and the relationships that you have or continue to build and strengthen with your database. So it's important for us to realize as agents, as we begin to embrace the new technology, it's not a replacement for your database and the actions you need to be doing with it on a continual basis. That will always be the primary part of your job. And the only things that might change is how you interact with that database. Does that make sense? Okay. So some takeaways, ahas, questions about what you saw? Anybody feel awkward at times just watching that sometimes? I think Gary's really kind of giving it to him. That's just his personality. Tell me, what are your thoughts? What do you think is coming out of the pipeline? Do you agree with it, disagree?
One thing I thought was interesting, the people that started up this new company, whatever it is, some of these Keller Williams agents, they were paid over $1 million in profit share the year before.
Yeah.
I mean, they have the money to do it, and they're going to get paid forever.
Right.
After profit share.
Well, and the interesting follow-up to that is that gentleman that you referenced later on basically said, "Yep, you know, we made that money, and if Gary wants to stop paying it to me, I'll respect that decision." Well, it's not like Gary's going to stop paying profit share, because that would not be in integrity with the program, right? I think his basic point was, here's the deal. We have a lot of people that are criticizing our profit share system, when in reality, it works so well, even those same people are still benefiting from it. And like he said, he didn't want to spend too much time on it because it's a bigger distraction from what's really going on in the industry as a whole, which is owning the data, powered by artificial intelligence, which will in turn drive the experience you have with your consumers. And it's interesting, in the conversation with Brad, you could tell that there was a little bit of a confusion regarding the consumer, because in Brad's mind, the consumer is who? In Brad's mind, in Brad's mind, the consumer is the buyer and the seller, right? In Gary's mind, the consumer is who? It's agents, right? He said, here's the deal, buyers and sellers are great, but they're not my focus. My focus is agents. How do I help the agents in their business and give them value so that the agents can in turn use it with their consumers, who are the buyers and sellers, to get more and do more business? Oh, by the way, for less money, for less cost and less expense. Not only do we want to build you the best technology platform out there, we want to build it for you, and by providing it to you, by being with a company, save you thousands of dollars, which I think is, you know, it's a 1-2 combination. And he basically set the stage to say, we've had all these companies, they're all, rushing together in this industry. We're all at this critical point that is about to allow these companies to either take off, continue to stay neutral, or completely decline. And you kind of said in not so unclear terms, we are the only company that is ahead of the change that's about to occur in this industry, and we have the foundation in place to launch this thing when the time comes. To me, I follow companies like Amazon and Netflix pretty regularly, reading the news and stuff. And if you've been following Amazon stock until about recently, you've just seen it. It's doubled this year alone because they own their software, and because when you interact with that company as a consumer, the interaction is very personalized, right? Like to Gary's point, when Renee logs on to Netflix or Becca logs on to Netflix or I do, it shows you completely different things, right? Because it's using the data that you provided when you interact with it to give you a better experience. So he's basically saying, think of those companies on a real estate level. So think about it this way. Let's say Cindy's client logs into the MLS and Melissa's client logs into the MLS. Right now, they both see the same thing, right? But if we can use their search history, not us setting criteria, but allowing them to use their search history and then having the MLS or the Keller Williams platform start, when Melissa logs on, say, hey, here are the few properties we thought would catch your interest based on the searching you've been doing recently. Versus Cindy's client who logs on is at a different price point in a different area of Rochester, right? People are logging on, they're getting very personalized experiences based on the data that they're providing, the data that the company has put together based on all of your hard work interacting with your clients, which is very, very interesting. It's going to be a game changer. Like you said, it's going to continue to attract people to us because we're going to be the only person out there on the forefront of it. Other thoughts or questions from them? You can see why I didn't want to try to take a stab at explaining it myself. Probably have to watch it at least a few more times to completely understand what he said.
Don't pay for leads.
Right. What's interesting because from a business model standpoint, he makes it very clear. Because in our minds and the minds of most people, when you look at Realtor.com, Zillow, Trulia, etc., it's a pretty clear concept. I give you some money every month and you provide me really crappy leads. No, I'm just kidding. I give you some money every month and you provide me, maybe, hopefully, I'll get a couple of registrations that provide me contact information. I can call them and hopefully close a deal, right? It's very simple. And for some people, it works great. For some people, it doesn't. Honestly, a lot of it's what you put into it, right? But Gary's basically saying, here's the deal. Why continue to spend that money on stuff that may or may not close when we can save you that money? You can reinvest it or you can continue to grow your database. Oh, by the way, we need to stop surrendering that very precious data to those companies because the more data we give them, the more they're going to start building these systems themselves and use it against us. And people for years, I remember at least 2 years ago, then I'll get to you, Jacob. I remember at least 2 years ago, people were like, Zillow's going to launch their own brokerage. Zillow's going to do some stuff online so that the real estate agent's not going to be needed anymore. And I was at Mega Camp when the Zillow representative said, we have no interest in doing that. Well, here we are 2 years later. It's not in all markets, but in some markets, what do they offer? You can do a complete real estate transaction as a buyer or a seller online via their website, no agent involved, for much less fee. Right? So they're doing exactly what they predicted. And that's why Gary said we don't want to give them their data, because if we give them our data, it's going to make what they're doing behind the scenes even more accurate, which is going to be disadvantageous to us. So when he says, and I get to you too, Jim, these companies are all trying to slash your overall income. That's what he's getting at. So he said if we don't get on the forefront of it, they're going to continue to take ground, which will impact. This isn't to freak you out, right? There's always going to, and if you can take solace in what he says, there's always going to be the place for the agent in the relationship, right? But you know, those other companies are going to continue to make progress too, unless we make a concerted effort to kind of combat it. Jacob, and then I'll come to Jim.
So how would you think about changing? Like, obviously you pay for your leads because you want to be where the consumer is, and all the consumers go to those like Redfin, Zillow, and everything.
That's your choice. How to do that?
I don't know how could you redirect them without getting your face in front of them on those
sites? You redirect them by working your database and then using some of the technology that's coming down the pipeline to keep you in front of the database, right? We've all got clients right now that they have a signed buyer rep agreement, but they're searching for homes on Zillow. Right? Raise your hand if you know for a fact you have clients right now that are using Zillow to search for homes. Absolutely.
And they know it's the wrong information.
They do, which is funny.
They tell me.
Yeah. So here's in the script that I coach people to use is here's the deal, it's great, we look forward to helping you, we're gonna start sending you properties that match your criteria, they're gonna come from us, when they come from us on our website, they're the most accurate and the most timely. But here's the deal, it's okay if you cheat on me. I know you might be using other websites like Zillow, Trulia, Realtor.com, whatever, because you're more comfortable with them, and that's fine. All I ask is that when you do use those websites, if you see any discrepancies regarding the status of the property, or you're finding homes on there that we're not sending you, just shoot them our way and we'll verify the accuracy of them, because chances are the information you see on that website isn't quite accurate, right? You have to understand that that's just, it's gonna happen. Address it before it has the potential to become an issue, and always just keep redirecting back to your website.
Or back to
You're going
you.
to,
Yeah, we're back to you.
Because you're the expert. So if they see properties, I have it happen with buyers all the time.
Yeah.
They'll see something on Zillow, they'll ask me about it. It's either, you know, closed, you know, years ago.
Right.
It-
And the Zestimate's wrong. And,
Yeah.
you've already
and
reached them.
here's, what's that?
You've already reached them.
Yeah.
That's how you reach them.
Right.
So,
No, not necessarily. And
No.
here's the deal, because some people do pay for that kind of stuff, and some people don't. And I'm not saying that it's bad and you're wrong if you do that. Many years ago, when I first started the business, I paid Realtor.com and I paid Zillow for leads. I did it. And over time, I realized it was, in my opinion, a worse and worse deal. Because now, first off, it's become more expensive. And now, when somebody registers, it used to just come straight to me. Now it goes to a few different people, right? And all of a sudden, it's like, okay, why am I paying them a few $100s a year for a crappy lead that I'm having to fight 2 other people for anyway, right? It kind of became a little bit crazy. And we sourced the business, we did the ROI, and I realized for the amount of money I'm putting toward these companies, I can take, a quarter of that budget, reinvest it in my database, and see a much better return, solidify some of those relationships, and prevent them from registering on Zillow and just using whatever agent calls them or emails them, right? So I guess the takeaway from my standpoint, Jacob, would be those companies are always going to exist. They're always going to be an option for marketing dollars, and it's just incumbent upon you in your own business to decide if you want to divert some marketing dollars there or not. Constantly measure the ROI, and never give up marketing to your own database regularly at the expense of going all in on one of those companies, right? How I would treat it is this: I've got my database, it's the solid pillar of my business, it's foundational, I'm hitting it. If I have a little bit of money that I feel like I want to invest or try something new, maybe I'll chuck it to Zillow on a 3 to 6 month trial, see what kind of results I get. If it's crap, I won't do it again. If it's great, maybe I'll continue it and continue to monitor it to see if I think it pays off.
I'm not.
No, that's a great question. It's a great question. Jim, you had something?
No, it's just, he made a comment about Keller Williams Mortgage.
Mhm.
And
Keller Mortgage?
is that something
It's not
we-
Keller Williams Mortgage, just Keller Mortgage.
Keller Mortgage.
Yep.
Are they rolling it out, or is it rolled out?
It is, it's Keller Mortgage exists, and to the best of my knowledge, I think it's a centralized office in Ohio or something like that. They do have some folks that are licensed in Minnesota. So if you wanted to, you can Google Keller Mortgage, call them up and ask them some questions and decide whether or not you want to use them as a mortgage person. That's about all. And I know that they're one of their shticks is that they're low fees. That's about all that I know about Keller Mortgage at this point in time. I don't think we've seen a mass rolling out or unveiling of it. I think they've kind of begun to try it to see what works, what doesn't work. And then according to Gary, he said in a few months, you'll probably see it. Mega Camp would probably be an opportune time for them to do that. So after mid-August, we'll see what kind of stuff shakes out. Great question. Yes, sir.
So Gary commented on agents going outside of Keller to establish themselves with other things like CRMs, for instance. All of us pay money to CRMs because frankly what we have is not satisfactory.
Yeah.
So
It's very basic.
right. So looking at that and some of the other systems in place, and he is a startup agent here, but also a very tech savvy person.
Mhm.
I've noticed there's a lot of lack of communication between our programs
Yep.
already. So I guess what do you see or what have you heard regarding the integration of all of that and how they're going to start to speak to each other and how we're actually going to be able to utilize something within our systems?
I think what you're going to see is, right now, I've used a few different platforms before. Boomtown, if you're familiar, FirePoint, Conversion. Right now, if you go to teamluckyduck.com, it is a conversion website. It's not Playster. It's not e-edge related. When somebody registers on there, they get put into a database. that database automatically starts looking at what they're searching for and recommends to me, click a button, and we'll just put them on this kind of a home search for you. So I think, and that costs me money monthly to do that. So what you're gonna see roll out is Keller Williams' own in-house version of that. What I suspect will happen, and this is just me making some guesses, is that you're gonna see eEdge go away. You're gonna see, I don't know if they'll use Playster for their site or what, but you're probably gonna see some of that go away. Keller Williams will provide you websites like we do already with a more intuitive back end in terms of your database. People registering, people that you put in your database, helping them with their home search, syncing you and linking you to their social media profiles, platforms, and giving you smart drip campaigns using the search criteria and demographics of those people to help you give a much more specific marketing plan or advertising plan too. That's what I suspect is coming down the pipeline. Oh, by the way, for a lot less money than I happen to pay right now for conversion, with the ability to add, AdWords budgets and stuff like that. Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay. So I think you're going to see, right now it's kind of piecemeal. I think you're going to see it become more streamlined and solidified. And basically, Keller Williams is going to build an all-encompassing platform that goes toe-to-toe with your Boomtowns, your conversions, your commission platforms, all for the low price of your tech fee of $25 a month. And I'm looking forward to it.
Is that Kelly app going to do some of those?
So Kelly will sync with it. So if you have your app handy, some of the things you can do that have changed recently is you can ask it a few more questions that are a little bit more relevant to your day-to-day business. So I'll do one, for example, where you push the microphone and I'll say, show me a snap for Elton Hills in Rochester, Minnesota. Just thinking. So what it immediately does is it pulls up some neighborhoods here in Rochester to include Elton Hills, and it gives me quickly, at a glance, information about how many active listings are within that neighborhood, what the average list price is, etc., and I can click on it. To me, when I ask myself, okay, that's cool, that's fancy, how is that applicable in your business? This is a huge open house tool, right? When you have somebody come through the open house or asking you questions, you whip out your app, you ask it a question, say, hey, by the way, here's that relevant information. If you'd like more info, what's your email address? I can send it to you here, or I can text you my app so you can download it and have it at your fingertips as well. You can also, now, you can search for and see listings inside the app as an agent. The other thing you can ask it is, show me my listings. And it will pull up a list of all your current listings, what you have going on, what's pending, all that fun stuff, where they're at, etc. Profit share. It will show you what your most recent profit share was. Find associate Melissa Gregg. You got the double G's right. I kept talking, so I messed it up. Find associate Melissa Gregg.
She's right there.
She is right there. Didn't spell it right that time. Find associate Jim Clark. Pulls up Mr. Jim. And that's great, but like, you think to yourself, okay, that's cool. Is that big? Well, yeah, when I'm in the car and I need to call Jim because we're doing a deal together and I can't remember what his phone number is, and I just tell the app and boom, I can call him at the click of a button. Show me my referrals. It'll show you how many are awaiting response, how many outgoings you have, and here's a list of 3 referrals that we have that we're working right now, right? So, and this is in the beginning stages, right? So when it all gets streamlined and synced up with your database, your contacts, which is the next step that it's moving to, this will be syncing with your contacts. Think about it this way. You wake up in the morning, you log in, and it's gonna say, Jay, these are the people you need to reach out to, part of your daily routine. And oh, by the way, we noticed that Katie did this, this, and this today. You might wanna reach out to her. We think she's probably buying a home. Oh, by the way, would you like to click this button to put her on a home buying campaign? Right, that kind of stuff. So
and again, I believe every question we ask, if it doesn't have an answer, it stores that question for analysis.
Yeah, I would imagine it does. Like right now, everything I just did, Keller Williams Realty International knows I did it. They're tracking it. right? Not to freak you out. So don't ask any weird questions. All right? Like, what can I find in this neighborhood after midnight? Because it's tracking stuff to try to make it that much better, right? So long story short, I have more stuff we'll go over next time. I went over time, I apologize. But I want you guys to understand, it's so important that we understand the conversation regarding technology in our industry as a whole, and what it means for the agent. Because my very first team meeting, I joined Edina Realty, very good company. At the first team meeting, they didn't call them team meetings, at the office meeting we had that month, our broker manager, who is now the president of Edina Realty, lovely lady, our conversation was, will the real estate agent go the way of the traveling? And I was like, well, good Lord, what I just get licensed for it? What are you trying to tell me, right? But to her point, there are some companies out there that's exactly what they're, it might not be what they're looking to do. They didn't get into business saying we want to eliminate real estate agents, but the things that they're doing are geared toward making us less relevant or taking us out of the transaction. We're kind of doubling down and saying, no, put up the barriers. We're the most vital, crucial, critical part of this transaction. We need to fight for it and continue to provide our clients a phenomenal service. So, with that being said, I'll get Sally and we'll kick off the lunch and learn here in just a few minutes. Thanks, everybody.